What's going on, guys? This is Mia. Since we just got some new Infernoid support announced like last week or something, well, I'm actually kind of late now, but again, I was in Cancun, so now that I'm back, I can finally start reviewing these cards, just like I did with Ice Bearer. By the way, combo video and deck profile coming up very soon for Ice Bearer first and then Infernoid. I already figured out like all the combos because these cards are so disgusting. The very first day they were announced, I was like, I need to break both of these decks. Like, it's really that good. But I want to say Infernoid probably got a better treatment than Ice Barrier because some of their cards are actually custom made. These employees play Infernoids. Like, it's the only logical explanation. You guys are gonna love this, but at this point, you guys probably already know what these cards do. Anyways, before this video starts, you know the drill. Friendly reminder to smash the like and subscribe button. And now let's get into the first card, which is Infernoid Evil. Level 1 Fire Fiend Fusion. 1100 attack and defense, 2 Infernoid monsters. So this means a bunch of things. First of all, it's an instant fusion target, it's a super poly target, and you can summon it with Void Imagination. Even if your opponent doesn't control a monster from the extra deck, you just use like 2 of your own Infernoids and then you summon this, and then you get to benefit off of its 2 effects. So hopefully it's good. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's aim once per turn each. If this card is fusion summoned, so again, it still gets its effect off of instant fusion, you can banish one Inferno monster from your grave, send Inferno monsters with different names from each other from your deck to the grave equal to the banished monster's level. This is ridiculous. You could theoretically send 11 Infernoids directly from your deck to the grave. This is wild because when That Grass Looks Greener was around, even if you milled 20 cards, you weren't milling like 20 Infernoids or even 10. You were milling like maybe 6 Infernoids out of 20 on average. So the fact that you can straight up mill like 10 directly from your deck to the grave is ridiculous. This card is already better than That Grass Looks Greener outside of like the fact that Fairy Tale Snow was also a thing. But this is already off to a really good start. And again, this card is quite easy to summon, so this is already nice. But don't worry because it always gets better. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished, doesn't have to be banished by a card effect. It can be banished off of the summoning condition of the Infernoids. You can add 1 Void Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. This is wild. It is if this card is sent to the graveyard. Again, doesn't have to be by a card effect either. So you can like link this card off or tribute it and then still gets its effect. And it can actually be sent from your extra deck to the grave. So the Dogmatica engine in this deck is absolutely cracked. Like, Ecclesia is a 1-card starter, the Maximus obviously is the reason why you're sending this, and then you can Surge the Void Vanishment, and then Surge the Void Feast. Nadir Servant is broken now. It's like a 1-card, multiple interruptions on its own that gets your stuff going, fills your graveyard, and even gives you like a follow-up play because, again, next turn you're going to be banishing this card and search another Void Spell or Trap. And the Void Spells and Traps are very dangerous. Like, there wasn't really any way to Surge them before. You really had to dig into them with Prosperity, but now this deck is getting infinitely more consistent. I really like it. So this card, just on its own, is already good enough. Like, we don't even have to look into anything else because this is already enough to make Infernoids tier 1. And I want to say this deck is one of the very few decks that doesn't need like hand traps or board breakers almost because you got Lair of Darkness, so you can actually tribute over your opponent's monsters to break boards that way. It's absolutely cracked. But yeah, again, already off to a really good start. Now, for the second monster, we got a Link 4 monster, Infernoid Flood, Link 4 Fire. Again, just like every single Infernoid, 3k attack. And then the same arrows as Appaloosa. 2+ monsters, including an Infernoid monster. So you can use like 3 generic monsters and 1 Infernoid, and that's fine. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's aim once per turn. If your opponent would special summon a monster or quick effect, you can tribute 1 monster, negate the summon, and if you do, banish those monsters. That's pretty cracked if you ask me. Like, negate the summon and banish monsters, like, oh my god, against like pendulums. If you summon this card, you just win the game. And again, with Lair of Darkness, you can tribute your opponent's monster to negate like the summon of your opponent's monsters. Like, this is so cracked. But again, it gets better. You already know it. If a card or cards is banished from your graveyard, again, doesn't have to be by a card effect, so you can just go like, summon 1 Infernoid monster, and then, oh wow, well, you look at that, a card was already banished from my graveyard. You can banish 1 card on the field, doesn't target either. Oh my god, what are these cards? This is ridiculous. Oh my god, this is way too good, way too good. I love this. If this Link summon card and its owner's control is destroyed by your opponent, doesn't have to be sent to the graveyard. You can special summon 1 Inferno monster from your deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. So you can actually summon like Ononku and Deviati and do some nasty things because these guys are really dangerous when they get summoned. Like Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty correct. So yeah, again, very good card. It is a little unfortunate that it's a Link 4. Would have been really nice if it was like a Link 3. But yo, we can't ask for too much. I'm taking that any day of the week. It's really nice. And you can also summon this on your opponent's turn with IP Masquerena. You can get some free tokens in this deck very easily, either with Bishbalkin or with the Lyre of Darkness tokens. So it's actually kind of easy to summon this card, I want to say. So it's really nice. Anyways, next up we've got Void Blaze Up. Normal spell, you can only use the second effect of this card's once per duel, so you can already tell that this card is destined for greatness. I love once per duel effects. Reveal one Infernoid monster or one Void spell or trap in your hand, discard your entire hand, and draw the same number of cards you discarded. This card is an inherent neg 1 because you're activating this card and then you're trading in like 4 cards for 4 other cards. So it's not ideal, but that's fine because this doesn't matter as much as the second effect. If you control no monsters or all monsters you control are feed monsters, and this card is in your grave except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it, then target up to 11 of your banished Infernoid monsters with different names, return them to the graveyard. So I remember back in the good old days in like 2015 when I used to be garbage at the game and I was like, you know what, Burial from a Different Dimension is broken in Infernoid. I can banish 3 and then get them back and then summon again. But this is like, this multiplied by 3. Or 4 almost. Up to 11 of your banished Infernoids. Like, are you kidding me, bro? Like, what is this? This is insanity. Like, you only really care about the graveyard effect. So, in other words, this card is the best discard fodder for Void Vanishment or whatever else might require a discard, like the Snake Eye engine, well, the Diabel Star, rather. So, yeah, you're just discarding this card more often than not because you don't have to use the on-field effect. But it's not once per turn, in case you wondered. Only the second effect is not even once per turn, once per duel. So, that's funny. Nothing about this card is once per turn. But in a way, this is still, it ends up being the same. Yo, Jesus, this is wild. Every single card that we're reading is always like, what? What is this? Bruv, you gotta be kidding me. Like, it just keeps impressing me, honestly. But again, we're not done yet. We've got one final card, Void Barrier. Continuous spell, you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. Infernoid monsters you control gain 100 attack for each of your banished Infernoid monsters. This can stack up pretty quickly. You can definitely use this to like OTK your opponents, but realistically, the goal is not to have like 65 banished Infernoid monsters. So I don't think this is like that relevant, but I guess it can help you like just not dying to monsters with 3k attack when you're when you have like an Unku or Deviati, so that your monsters are even harder to out, at least by battle. Anyways, if you control no monsters or all monsters you control are fiend monsters, so the exact same requirement as the graveyard effect of Void Blaze Up, you can activate, you can activate one of these effects. So either add one of your banished Inferno monsters to your hand. This is really nice because now if you're foolishing Decatron and then you're banishing it and you're recycling it back, you're going to be able to have like way more gas, because Decatron is a really good card, especially when you consider the fact that it's a tuner that can modulate its level so that you can do some really nice synchro plays, or you can go into Tzolk'in or Bishbalkin. So Infernoid is actually one of the best decks to be able to turbo out Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity with Crimson Dragon, because summoning Bishbalkin is just so natural. And then you're even summoning tokens, which can be used as link materials, like I said. You can facilitate the summon of Infernoid Flood. You can do so much, honestly, with Bishbalkin and Tzolk'in and stuff like that. So it's really nice. Anyways, the second effect allows you to special summon one Inferno monster per hand, ignoring the summoning conditions. Again, it doesn't negate the effect. It's just like the Link 4 when it's destroyed by your opponent's card. So the cool thing about this is that now if you're scared of a hand traps, you can go like, okay, I'll immediately summon Deviati, and then you can even use the Heavy Storm effect. I believe this is like on summon in general. It doesn't have to be by like its own summoning condition. I could be wrong. Let me just double check. Hold on a second. When this card is special summon, you can destroy all spells and traps on the field except void cards. Yeah, so again, Deviati just works perfectly with this card because now you can like full combo and not really lose to like hand traps on your monsters. So Deviati definitely looks like a 2-of in the Infernoid deck. Like, you got this card to summon your Infernoid monsters for cheap. You don't have to like send a bunch of cards and then banish all of them and then summon your Infernoids. That way you can just cheat them out. And then you can also like Heavy Storm Duster in the process. And all your void cards are protected from your own Deviati. It's actually kind of unfortunate that Onunku is not protected, but it's not the end of the world. By the way, one thing that I do have to mention about the Infernoids is that even though you have like 65 billion Infernoids in your grave, you can't necessarily summon all of them. There's always like an annoying condition with the Infernoids that you can only summon them if the total level of all levels and ranks on your field does not surpass 8. So if you summon like Deviati or Nonku, you're pretty much locked. You can't summon any of your Infernoids with their own summoning conditions. With that said, you can still cheat them out with cards like Void Barrier or Infernoid Flood, or Void Imagination could also turn their level to 1, and then you can summon a bunch of monsters and then, whatever, find a way to get rid of the Imagination. This deck is not a deck that really needs to summon too much from the extra deck. So, yeah, even if you have, like, no cards in your extra deck, you can still play the game really well. Infernoids is just really versatile and resourceful. I really like it. Like, you have a way to out pretty much everything. Like, Lair of Darkness makes you get rid of, like, gigantic monsters that can't be targeted, or that, you know, just annoying cards in general. And then you got Harmodic for monsters, Petrolia for spells and traps, Seitsemas to banish cards without targeting, a Tondel for double attack, Deviati for heavy storm, Ononku for a dark hole. You got a monster negate, a spell or trap negate. You got everything with Infernoids. The world is your oyster, and it really rewards good deck building, so it's one of the reasons why I love Infernoid. The reason why people weren't really a big fan of Infernoids back in the days was because of the fact that it was a really RNG deck that milled, but the deck actually changed a lot over time. Now, I want to say with this new support, it is no longer an RNG deck, but rather just purely deck building. Like, how are you always getting access to your combo every single time? You just have to, you know what you're doing, and it shouldn't be too difficult. So, yeah, Infernoids is definitely getting better and better. And again, like I said, I can't wait to show you guys my combo video and deck profile on this deck because it is absolutely cracked. And this is not like a gimmicky one-trick pony deck that just has like a really good turn 1 or turn 2 and then nothing else. No, no, no. The follow-up is insane because, again, this card makes your follow-up absolutely overpowered. You're gonna have a stacked graveyard, then you just banish it, search a Void Spell or Trap, and then this card makes you gain back all of your Infernos from the banished so that you can summon all of them. This deck does not lose to Abyss Dweller because the Infernoids are all inherent summons in the grave, not activated effects. Yeah, this deck is a force to be reckoned with, but yeah. Anyways, that's it for this video. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about the new Infernoid support in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.